We have 100 likes on this before we even start the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping a like, and always showing your support. Going to be super happy to go through and dive into a fantasy football draft like we do every single day. Now, we are going to try to get a $1,000 draft going. I can't guarantee that we will, but I will try my best. Now, as we wait for this $1,000 draft to fill, we are going to hop in here right now, and there are 10 spots open in this draft room if you want to draft with me. So we're going to be waiting for quite some time, but we are going to still get into some high stakes drafts nonetheless. We're going to be getting into the $75 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, pit bull on Underdog. It says $75 buy-in. This is $120,000 to first place. 7,500 entrants into the tournament. You got 60,000 for second, 40,000 for third, the 25,000 for fourth. I mean, this is a pretty big tournament. So let's get in here, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want in with us, there are 9 spots. So this is your shot if you want in. And yes, I would love a $1,000 draft as well, my friend. So if y'all want in, you know where to find me. We're sitting in the Mastiff lobby right now. Now, looks like the probability of that draft filling is going to be low, but nonetheless, I hope it fills, and I hope we're able to do it. But Nolan says, I'll be back in an hour and a half for the $1,000 gig. Nolan will hop in those drafts with us. Nolan is a high roller over there on Underdog. But thank you so much for everybody coming out. Noah says he only has 44 bucks in the Underdog account at the moment. We'll get into some smaller stakes drafts so you can hop in with us as we get closer to the season, my man. As always, thank you for stopping by. And if y'all don't know, Noah is the reason why we have this beautiful sign behind us. Noah's done so damn much for this channel. DJ got the 101 in this draft. Hell yes. Demonic Celery out here with us pretty much every single day. This time he's in here at 4. And Sabra's asking, what if the $1,000 draft doesn't fill? Do you get your money back? Yeah, so if the $1,000 draft doesn't fill in this live stream, I'm just going to leave the lobby, and then the $1,000 will be immediately credited back into my account. You know, so if the draft doesn't start, then I'm going to go just leave whenever, and the $1,000 goes into your account right that second. However, if you wait until the draft starts, you're not getting that $1,000 back. That $1,000 is in there. We got A Young out here at Pick 10 with us. Tony in here at 3. Joshua saying Flock's Kryptonite is right there at Pick 6. Ooh, gonna be tough. Gonna be tough drafting next to Flock's Kryptonite. I feel like we are next to them pretty much every day. But let's see what they decide to do here at 6. Y'all know generally I'm looking Bijan Robinson. Y'all know that's what I'm looking at 9 times out of 10 here. They're taking it all the way down to the very end. They go Austin Eckler, so we are going to go ahead and we are going to take our guy Bijan Robinson. Now, I wish I could say, oh, guys, trust me, I'm the smartest man on the planet. I know exactly why we should be taking Bijan Robinson here, blah, blah, blah. In reality, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm an idiot, but I did go to the University of Texas. I did interview him at the NFL draft. I did run into him at the gym a couple weeks back, and I want to have fun in fantasy football this year. I want to root for the guys that I like. I really want to root for Bijan Robinson, so I want to draft him as much as I can. I'm taking him anytime after the first 5 picks, but let's get this going. Let's get this going. Austin saying, gym pick always strapped. You better believe we have that gym pick on standby. I was on the Fantasy Pros live stream, and I took Bijan Robinson, and I was sad that I did not have the pick that we were able to throw up on the live stream since I wasn't in control. Would have been pretty cool, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Now you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown going off at 11 and 12. Let's see what Deep Hole decides to do here. Go to Amon-Ra St. Brown, round 1's a little bit unique. Maybe they go with like a middle round 2 ADP and have a start that nobody else is going to. Here, you never know. You never know. Okay. Swing this around. They go to Devontae Adams. I mean, if you do look how ADPs line up, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, ADP 14, Devontae Adams, pretty much ADP 15. So it is going to be a pretty unique start to go ahead and take the combo of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams through the first 2. And I don't think you're sacrificing too much upside to do so either. I mean, personally, I still definitely prefer guys like A.J. Brown over Amon-Ra St. Brown, but it's not like you're going all the way down and drafting like a T. Higgins, right? Now, Ballin goes Jalen Waddle after taking Travis Kelce. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Chris Olave here, considering we go running back in round 1. But I want to be on record, and I want to say, if the Dallas Cowboys do not sign a running back, it is idiotic for me to be passing on Tony Pollard in the middle of the second round. Personally, I'm going to be fine passing on Pollard today, because I think that there's an outside chance that Dallas brings back either Zeke, they bring in Hunt, they bring in Dalvin, they trade for Taylor, they bring in Fournette. I think that there are a multitude of different running backs the Dallas Cowboys may or may not look at this next season. If one of those guys go to Dallas, I'm assuming that we're going to get Tony Pollard at the 2-3 turn rather than having to take him at the middle part of the second round. So I'm going to be taking a stance. I'm going to be passing on Tony Pollard here in the middle of round 2. But I want to be fully transparent. I may end up losing a lot of money doing this. Now, of course, real quick, just in case y'all don't know what we are doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is what we do every single day. We've live streamed for over 100 days in a row. I have like 300 teams drafted on Underdog at this point. And of course, if you want to draft with us, we're going to be drafting every single night on the live stream until the start of the season. These are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the year. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last season. And if you sign up to Underdog with the link in the live chat description comment section, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com, where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. Underdog is available in all of these states, and this is the same place where you have all the pick'em lines that you look at in every video. And my favorite pick'em line right now is going to be Drake London for more receiving touchdowns than Michael Gallup. Okay. Well, let's move this back over. And Jahmyr Gibbs going at 25. Super unique selection of Jahmyr Gibbs there. And we have Rob coming out, says 10-team app PPR. We have Watson, Adams, Waddle, Eckler, Saquon, Pitts. Oh my gosh. This is a phenomenal team, my man. The only thing I could possibly say with this team, with how strong we are, not only in the starting lineup, but also the quality depth, having guys like Hopkins, Alexander Madison, Javonte Williams all on the bench. If we could take one of these wide receivers such as DeAndre Hopkins, pair them up with Kyle Pitts, who I do like, but at the end of the day, a trade like this just makes too much sense if we could pull it off and go trade for an elite level tight end, such as, I mean, I doubt you'd be able to get Kelce, but if you could go like Waddle and Kyle Pitts and go get Kelce, hell yes. But maybe even go after someone like Mark Andrews. I'd really like that just because you have so much top end talent as well as depth at running back and receiver. But let's move this down. So after starting Bijan Robinson, Chris Olave in the first 2 rounds, Flock's Kryptonite goes Josh Allen, snipes him from us. I thought we were going to get Allen. We'll take DK Metcalf. I mean, with Metcalf, he has an ADP of 28.5, and he's not going to fall here too much. Not going to lie to you, I have not taken a ton of DK Metcalf, but it kind of is what it is, right? And I hate to just say that, but we want to be mixing in some wide receivers. Metcalf is a wide receiver that definitely has the potential to be a league winner, even if I generally think that you have better values like Josh Jacobs in this range. It's not like I can just take Jacobs in every single one of these drafts if I'm going to be doing hundreds. Metcalf is a wide receiver that does have access to a league-winning ceiling, and to have 0 DK Metcalf going into the next year would be very scary. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to take him here. And we got Bijan Robinson saying, thanks for drafting me, Mason. By the way, my man, usually you text me this, not send it in the YouTube live chat. Hey, I'll FaceTime you after this live stream, my man. I'll FaceTime you after. Gabe says, big fan, Mason. Always tune in and just watch and learn. Don't type a lot, but keep up the great work. No, thank you so much, my man, for coming and hanging out with us every day. Thank you. NBF asking how much DK Metcalf we have. I'll pull this up. I would assume that I'm a little bit less than 8% DK Metcalf. Like I said, I haven't drafted him a lot in round 3. Whenever he falls and we need a wide receiver, I'll be fine mixing him in. I actually have 7% DK Metcalf. So, I mean, we're pretty much right in line with average, a little bit underweight Metcalf. I'll only take him if he falls considerably past ADP. Okay. Now, Jacob says, In a 3-flex league with a 6-point passing touchdown and a tight end premium of 1.5, I have the number 3 pick. What strategy should I look into for this? Triple flex league, there you're going to be more willing to push up wide receivers. I understand a lot of people think, oh, let's pivot over to tight end. And if you see Jefferson, Chase, then your only option between the 3 is Kelce. I'm fine if you wanted to go ahead and pull the trigger on Travis Kelce at that point. But what I'm most likely planning on doing is taking Jamar Chase, because I would assume that a team in front of you decides to go either running back or Travis Kelce over Chase. And if you can start, say, up to 5-6 wide receivers, I want to be going wide receiver early and often. I want to be slamming wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Okay, so now we're going to take Joe Mixon, 42. With Mixon, I'm not taking him in Best Ball Mania. Best Ball Mania is the $25 buy-in, the $3 million first place prize, $15 million prize pool on Underdog. I'm not taking Joe Mixon in the middle of round 4 there because that tournament opened up at the end of April. And at the end of April, a lot of people were able to draft Joe Mixon at the beginning of the 7th round. And yeah, I'm not going to be able to beat those teams with Joe Mixon who got him at that massive value. However, this $75 tournament on Underdog just opened up, I believe, at the end of last week. Maybe, I don't know when, just a couple days ago, right? Essentially, maybe a week ago. And throughout the entire lifetime of this tournament, Joe Mixon has been a consistent round 4 selection. So we'll go ahead and we will take him here. DJ says, will there be any more $3 best ball drafts? Yeah, Underdog has $3 best ball drafts literally year round. So if you wanted to go through and you wanted to just hop in a $3 draft, it's not going to be a draft tournament right now. You would just be in a draft with the 11 other people. But I believe Underdog should have some more $3 tournaments. Last year they had like 5 or 6 massive $3 tournaments that had like $1 million prize pool. I'm assuming that they'll have more. Obviously, I can't guarantee it, but I would say 99%. 99%. Okay. Now, let's move this over. And everybody that's been drafting on Underdog since last year, what probability do you think it is that Underdog has more $3 and $5 tournaments before the season starts? What do you think the probability is? Please spam the chat. Because I don't want to sit here and say something that is wrong. So let's ask the flock what they think in terms of this. Okay, Aaron Jones off the board, 53. I know what we're looking to do here. I don't know if we get him. Okay. Chief Smoke says at least 4 or 5 more. Eric says 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. 92%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. Everybody says 100%. I'm not willing to go 100%. I will go 99% though. I'm going to go 99.99% chance. The Underdog has a bunch of more $3 and $5 tournaments with crazy prizes like $75,000 to first. Now we're going to go Ayuk. I was actually expecting to go Kenneth Walker here at pick 56. Not a massive Ayuk guy, but I will say the wide receiver teardrop's about to happen relatively soon. We do need to be mixing in some branded Ayuk, similar to what we were talking about with DK Metcalf. So, with Ayuk, overall, my exposure is pretty low. I haven't really taken him once since he's risen to be an early 5th round selection. If I'm looking up how many drafts I branded Ayuk in, I have him in 6%. But the majority of those were way earlier in the offseason when he was at a much cheaper price tag. I will mix him in here if he falls considerably past ADP. I have been drafting a lot more Kenneth Walker over the past month, pretty much. But Austin coming out says 10-team PPR, double wide receiver, 1 flex. We have Watson, Daniel Jones, Barkley, Ramondre Akers, Jeff Wilson, AJ Dillon. Wide receiver, we have Olave, Diggs, Judy Cooks, Rondale Moore, Zay Flowers. Tight end, we have Darren Waller. What are your thoughts? I really like the team, but I would say if it's a 10-team league where at the very most you can only start 3 wide receivers, a player like Rondale Moore doesn't have access to a ceiling that's actually ever going to be able to move the needle for you. So what I would do is I would actually just drop Rondale Moore, pick up another running back off the waiver wire, even if that's someone like Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, that you just most likely are going to drop at the beginning of the season anyway, but just drafting someone that has actual upside to do something for you. Now, George Kittle goes 61. The reason I took took Ayuk here primarily is because I thought there was a chance that we could be one of the very only teams that paired up Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, with Ayuk falling this far into round 5, but it is what it is. Trust Lock says, any advice in a 12-team PPR, double wide receiver, double running back, double flex? We have the 8 spot. I would say, honestly, just look at our most recent overall rankings video. That's pretty much the format that we were making those rankings for. You really don't have to make any adjustments there. It's a very well-balanced format. Okay. Now let's move this over. Hollywood Brown going 63. Lockett goes 64. Pick we make here will probably surprise some people, but it is what it is. Okay. B Ballin has Jacobs, Kenneth Walker running back, wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, and Jalen Waddle. And they have Kelsey at tight end. This is one of my favorite Travis Kelce teams I've seen. I would say this is before the Cam Akers pick. That's like my favorite Travis Kelce team. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Dameon Pierce here at pick 66. I still prefer Dameon Pierce over J.K. Dobbins. I mean, I prefer Dameon Pierce over Cam Akers as well. No matter who Ballin would have taken there, I would have pulled the trigger on Dameon Pierce. Last year, I didn't really draft him. I think that was probably a mistake. I think he's in a much better situation this season, and he's even cheaper than he was last year, so it's almost a no-brainer for me. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Now, Dobbins goes 68. And we hit 300 likes on this live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like on the stream for us. Really, really do appreciate it. Now, Michael Pittman off the board at 69. Definitely would have taken Pittman if you would have made it back to us at 79, right? Kobe says, Team 2 is crazy. Yeah, what does Team 2 have right now? They have Chase, Devonta, T. Higgins, Drake London, Joe Burrow. So they have the double stack with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Let's see what they decide to do here for running back. I mean, you assume that they're going to be looking at the running back position soon. They go Dallas Goedert, pairing up Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert as well. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, Henry says, if Team 2 is crazy, I guess I'm crazy too. Yeah, Henry out here at 9, going Diggs, Garrett Wilson, which is very unique. Andrews 33, Allen, Godwin, Lockett. I really like Henry's team. I really like that team. Colin says, help me win my league last year. I draft first this year in a 12-team PPR redraft. Who should we be targeting at the 2-3 turn? It's a very average league. Generally, if you're going to be at the 2-3 turn in like a regular redraft format where you don't have to be pushing wide receivers severely up, I'd be looking at guys like Jonathan Taylor if your league mates are getting a little bit worried, or if you can instead get maybe Ramondre Stevenson. I know that he is falling in a lot of those like ESPN regular redraft formats, and in elite level quarterbacks such as either Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Really love grabbing the elite level quarterback in a format like that. Okay. Now, Quentin Johnston off the board, 75. Let's swing this back around. What's the Lawrence news? Is there a reason Lawrence is falling? Dotson goes 76. So the news on Lawrence, Jaguars will play a series or two in preseason week 1. Okay. Cool story, bro. Thought we had real news here. Now, the question is, would we have taken Lawrence? And we don't even get to answer that because the Patrick Mahomes team takes Trevor Lawrence there to pair him up with Calvin Ridley. Not going to fault him at all, right? Yeah, you have Mahomes, but it's best ball, and Lawrence does fall 12 picks past ADP. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 400 likes in this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, be our 400th like of the stream. And we don't really have an option. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Jordan Addison, pick 79. I mean, if you just look at trying to build a unique roster, when you get an ADP value like this at a position of need for you, you kind of just have to go ahead and pull the trigger. So now wide receiver, we have Chris Olave, DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Addison. Running back, we have Bijan Robinson, Joe Mixon, as well as Dameon Pierce. So it looks like we are going to go ahead and have a 3-quarterback build as we've drafted 0 quarterbacks through the first 7 rounds, which generally is not something that I love to do, but it is what it is. It is what it is, right? Now, Henry going James Conner, pick 81. Cito says, any concerns with Chase encouraging Burrow to sit out week 1? Not at all. From what I took with the quote-unquote Jamar Chase encouraging Joe Burrow to sit out, it was more like, oh, Jamar Chase just kind of talking crap on a podcast. It's like, oh, yeah, we're going to be good no matter what, right? I'm not worried about Burrow's injury at all. I mean, hell, he can sit out till week 5. We're going to be chilling. I just want him to be 100% healthy. Like, it's not like Jamar Chase was going out there and going, please, Joe Burrow, please. I don't feel safe. I need you to be on the bench. I need you to be on ice until week 5. Please hear me out on this. I don't think that's what it was. Now, Elijah Moore going off the board, 85. Alvin Kamara goes 86. So if we would have had Deshaun Watson making it to us, I would have been really excited. I would have taken Deshaun Watson. Okay. Sparkle's on the clock. Sparkle's out here in a bunch of drafts with us. Goes James Cook, 87. Cook's been rising up a decent amount. Isaiah Pacheco report expected to be ready week 1. Let's read this. The GM expects Pacheco and Tony to be available for the Chiefs' regular season opener against the Lions. Organizationally, we feel pretty good about those guys. We'll be ready to play barring no setbacks. Blah, blah, blah. Nonetheless, you don't like the fact that they're having to talk about it. Now we're going to go ahead to take Brandon Cooks to potentially set ourselves up with the ability to go Dak Prescott on the way back around. We still want to have a quarterback that has real upside in his range of outcomes. We pass on Brandon Cooks here. We're not really going to be incentivized to go Dak Prescott 103. If we go Brandon Cooks, we can go Dak, set ourselves up with that potential Dallas Cowboys stack. Let's do it. Let's do it. Torsten says no sparkling water today. No. I mean, I've drank so much sparkling water already today. My tongue feels gross. I don't know if we can do it. Now, the Lawrence team takes Evan Ingram to double stack with Calvin Ridley. Joey coming out with the donation. Thank you. Says second pick, 10-team normal ESPN format. Are you still going Chase? I mean, it obviously depends on what a normal format means. I mean, if you have multiple flex spots, then sure, I think you can still go with Jamar Chase. If it is a 10-team league where you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, at that point, you are going to be so disincentivized to grab wide receiver, given the incredible values that you'll be looking at later on, that I would go ahead and I would honestly maybe pivot to an elite tight end like Kelsey, or maybe pivot to an elite running back like CMC. Okay. Jake says, I'm a late quarterback guy sometimes. I understand none of these dudes run, but Rodgers, Cousins, Goff, all at like 16 is a steal. My man, those quarterbacks are not making it until round 16 in underdog drafts. In underdog, since it's best ball, every team is going to draft 2 to 3 quarterbacks. And you are going to be in a tough spot if you think you're going to be able to get those quarterbacks round 16. The guys you're looking at round 16 will be like CJ Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ridder. That's who we'd be looking at. Jeep Guy says, only 37,000 more subscribers for the 24-hour stream. Yes. Looks like we actually may hit the 200,000 subscribers to do a 24-hour live stream for this season. Looks like it is a possibility. Now, what's the news here that we have with Bateman? Spotted running on the side field. Remains on the active PUP list, but he was spotted running on an adjacent field during practice Monday. This is the first time Bateman has been spotted working out during practice since undergoing a cortisone shot earlier this offseason. So it certainly can be considered a positive development. However, it remains unclear if the wideout will be able to participate in practice again. Can we reach 10 picks on Dak in comparison to Bateman? No, let's just take Bateman. Let's take another guy that I've not drafted much of. What's tough is I've avoided Bateman pretty much all offseason, but the one spot where I took Rashad Bateman was the $1,000 draft, right? So the $1,000 draft where we drafted Bateman, even if we are underweight on Bateman overall, it is going to kind of skew things. Like, let me see how much Bateman we have at this point. I have 3% Rashad Bateman, but $1,100 of entry fees into Bateman just because that one freaking $1,000 draft. Neil says, so A.J. Brown at 10. Are you taking Wilson or Barkley at 15? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley at 15 if it's going to be a regular redraft format. If it's going to be underdog, then I will pivot over and I'll go Garrett Wilson. Okay. Bagel asking if the $1,000 draft already happened. No, I'm talking about a $1,000 draft that happened like, I want to say, I don't know how long ago. I think we got Bateman at like 118 or something crazy on a team where we are desperate for a wide receiver. That was a different $1,000 draft, my friend. Okay, Khalil Herbert goes. So Cousins definitely in play for us, right? I mean, we took Jordan Addison. Odell goes 110. Daniel says, what are your exposures to all the Ravens receivers? I am underweight all Baltimore Ravens, essentially. Let me pull this up. I have 10% Lamar, so I'm betting on Lamar, but I'm not betting on the passing volume. I'm betting on rushing upside still with Lamar Jackson. I have 7% Odell, 6% Dobbins, 5% Andrews, 4% Flowers, 3% Bateman, 2% Edwards, 1% Likely. Now, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Kirk Cousins. And I want to ask y'all, okay, obviously you can say, well, Mason, you should have just gone Dak in the last round and Kirk Cousins as well. But if you had to choose, would you go Bateman and Cousins or Nico Collins and Dak Prescott? Can everybody please spam the chat? Would you have gone with Bateman and Kirk Cousins or Nico Collins and Dak Prescott? Okay. Dak, Cousins, 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 Cousins. Cousins, 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 Dak, 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 Dak. Cousins, 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 Cousins. Yeah, so it looks like most people are saying Kirk Cousins over Dak Prescott. At least that pairing, of course. Now, let's move this over. And if y'all don't know, we are going to get in another draft after this one. We are going to be firing up these drafts on Underdog until hopefully that $1,000 draft fills. By no means is it a guarantee. Right now, it looks like a long shot that that's going to fill. But if you want to get into our next draft on Underdog, you can find that link in the live chat description comment section. Promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll also get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, which over there you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. Underdog's available in pretty much every state. Best ball, no time commitment during the year. So it's not meant to replace your main fantasy football league, just meant to be some fun on the side. John says, how much can I pay for you to draft for me? I'm sorry, my friend. That is not a service we offer. I'm sorry. Unless we have Bill Gates out here in the live chat, then I can get you a price. Okay. Jared Goff, 121. Jamal Williams. Swing this back around. I mean, we find ourselves in a little bit of an awkward spot in terms of how many quarterbacks are we wanting to draft, right? I think if we get Geno Smith making it to us here, which we'll see because Flock's Kryptonite did take JSN, so they could go Geno Smith if they really wanted. But if we get Geno Smith to pair up with DK Metcalf, I think we'll probably be done drafting two quarterbacks with Cousins Geno. If they don't go Geno, we're going to pivot to Nico Collins. We'll be done at wide receiver. They go Rashee Rice. They go with neither guy. So I'm actually going to take Geno Smith here as our second quarterback to pair up with DK Metcalf and then be done drafting QB. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do not mind this at all. I think both Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins have it in the range of outcomes where they each could be top 5 in the NFL when it comes to overall passing yards. But now running back, we have Bijan, Mixon, Dameon Pierce. Wide receiver, we have Olave, Metcalf, Ayuk, Addison, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman. And quarterback, we have Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith. Noah says, thoughts on Geno being a top 10 quarterback? So with Geno, I mean, perfect timing to answer this, right? This is a quarterback that on paper should be a top 10 QB, right? On paper, it should be almost guaranteed that Geno Smith is a top 10 option this next season because that's where he was last year. And you add in both Jackson Smith-Njigba as well as Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet will be a better passing down running back than anybody they had on the roster last year. And that's coming from someone who last season made Kenneth Walker their second most drafted running back in fantasy and printed money off Kenneth Walker. But the situation is phenomenal. He has the best 3 wide receiver set in the NFL. But with all that being said, Geno does scare me in that he is such an outlier. We've never seen it before. You're telling me that all of a sudden a quarterback who's done nothing throughout his entire NFL career breaks out at 33 years old? So, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly, I draft him here. I'll draft him when he falls past ADP if we can pair him up with one of the Seattle receivers. He has phenomenal weapons. It just does scare me a little bit. Now, we're going to go ahead. We will take Tank Bigsby. Bigsby will be a running back that most likely sees like a 30-40% backfield split with Travis Etienne. So I think you'll get some usable weeks from Tank Bigsby in best ball. Obviously, the main appeal is his handcuff appeal if anything were to occur to Travis Etienne. Now, of course, if you're in your regular redraft format, not Underdog, there really he only has his handcuff appeal because you're never going to start him in a regular redraft format outside of an Etienne injury. Let's move this down. And I need to say this every single live stream because I do a very bad job of it. And I find that there are a lot of people on flockfantasy.com that haven't taken advantage. But if you are a member of flockfantasy.com, you are a paid member to flockfantasy.com, please go to your account page and put in your Underdog username in the little spot that says Underdog username. It takes 3 seconds, and it doesn't matter how long ago you created your Underdog account, whether that was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, next week, it doesn't matter. If you put in your Underdog username, it will automatically credit your Underdog account with an extra free $10. So please, if you're a member of flockfantasy.com, go take advantage of the free dollars. I worked my butt off to get everybody that. And please take advantage. And if you're not a member of flockfantasy.com, promo code FLOCK for 30% off any subscription. All my rankings are there, all the rankings and exclusive content for pretty much everybody you watch on YouTube. And if you use promo code FLOCK, not only will you get that 30% off, but you also get yours truly breaking down your fantasy football team with a podcast. Now, Andrew says cheeseburger or a hamburger with cheese on it. Please, it's urgent. I'd go cheeseburger, my man. There's nothing worse than a hamburger that you get that someone just threw a cold slice of cheese on and the cheese isn't melted at all. And it's like, okay, am I really supposed to eat this? You really expect me to eat cold freaking cheese? I don't know. I'm picky with cheese. Not good at eating cold cheese. All right. I think we'll probably go KJ Osborne and pair up Kirk Cousins, Jordan Addison, and KJ Osborne. Think maybe. Josh says Pepper Jack for the W. Now, I know y'all are going to hate this, but I know everybody loves their fancy cheese, the whatever cheese they're looking at, blah, blah, blah. The best cheese, and it's not even remotely close, if we're talking about for a cheeseburger, is the basic American cheese. That cheese that's like plastic, that's the cheese that you want. That's the cheese that you want. Now, running back, we have Bijan, Mixon, Dameon Pierce. Wide receiver, we have Olave, DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Addison, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, KJ Osborne. Yeah, so we have now the Cousins double stack with both Addison and Osborne. We have Geno stacked with DK Metcalf, and we're still going to be looking at 3 tight ends later on. 3 tight ends later on. Okay. Chef EV says that may be your worst take of all time. I don't know. Processed American cheese on a burger, can't beat it. My girlfriend hates it, but I love it. Now, the real T-Wolf coming out. Thank you, my man, says 10-team rookie only super flex draft. Who do you take at the 105 and 109? So 105 is going to be a little interesting, right? I would say if you're in a 12-team Dynasty Superflex League, you have to rank them as Bijan Robinson 1, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, then Jahmyr Gibbs, CJ Stroud. Now, in a 10-team Superflex format, quarterback's going to be worth a little bit less than a 12-teamer just because of the supply and demand of the position. So I don't want to just say you have to lock yourself into CJ Stroud, but I am more times than not either going to go Gibbs or Stroud at pick 5. Now, afterwards, you'll see JSN go off the board at 6. You'll have both Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison most likely go off at 7 and 8. So pick 9 definitely is going to be a teardrop where I really wish we could get a top 8 pick. But if this is the best selection you can have, then I'd most likely be going Zay Flowers at that point, my friend. Okay. Now, let's move this down. We are 162. This is most likely going to be our last selection where we take a running back. Okay. B-ballin', what are they doing here? They go Deonta Foreman. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Devin Singletary. I know we have Dameon Pierce, which does raise some eyebrows, right? It's like, okay, Mason, you always talk about not going after and reaching for handcuffs, blah, blah, blah. What the hell are you doing here? I completely understand that. And I'm not going out of my way to handcuff our running backs. Because when I take Dameon Pierce, pick 66, I am making a bet that Dameon Pierce is going to be healthy, and I am making a bet that Dameon Pierce is going to do well this next season. But if we believe in a vacuum that regardless of us having Dameon Pierce or not, Devin Singletary is the best value on the board. In these best ball tournaments, I'm fine going ahead and mixing them in because maybe we could sneak a Dameon Pierce team through to the fantasy football playoffs, right? Dameon Pierce goes down, misses 10 weeks during the regular season. Every other Dameon Pierce team is knocked out of the overall tournament. I'm one of the only teams with Devin Singletary, and we sneak Dameon Pierce through. Then all of a sudden, Dameon Pierce goes on a tear in weeks 15, 16, 17. I don't know. I know we're just doing some mental gymnastics. I know we are trying to justify most likely a bad selection, but it is what it is. Now, Robin Boy coming out of the donation, thank you, says, hey, Mason, it's a 12-team app PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, tight end, and double flexes. We have the 103. I'm keeping Kupp with our second rounder. Chase being kept by someone. Jefferson, CMC likely taken at 102. What is the play? Okay, in this format in particular, 12-team league where we can start up to 4 wide receivers. I am most likely going to pivot over to a wide receiver. I'm not going to be taking into consideration that this is someone that we may want to keep next year because if we're drafting them round 1 right now, I mean, the cost is most likely going to be outrageous. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the best wide receiver available. And here, I'm most likely going to go ahead and take Tyreek Hill there and start off our draft with Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, my man, which would be freaking nuts. Okay. Now, Jeff Wilson off. Now, once we go Devin Singletary, we are wanting to see running backs get drafted, right? I mean, at this point, there's only one thing that we want to have fall to us, and that is going to be the tight end position. We need some tight ends here, ladies and gentlemen. We're sitting with none. We have okay quarterback production with Cousins, Geno. We have a great running back room with Bijan, Mixon, Pierce, Bigsby, Singletary. We have some strong wide receivers with Olave, Metcalf, Ayuk, Addison, Cooks, Bateman, Osborne. But we really need to have some tight ends making it. Now, Hottie Boy Scotty coming out says, Mace, I need some help, man. 10-team PPR keeper league. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and 6 points per passing touchdown. 2 keepers per team. Am I going to keep Mahomes at the 5-10 or Hurts at the 9-10? So generally, I am ranking Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes in fantasy football, but that is going to be specifically for 4-point passing touchdown leagues where the rushing upside matters a little bit more. If it's going to be a 6-point passing touchdown format, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Mahomes side there. I mean, we can kind of illustrate how big of a difference those formats make it by going and looking at the player props with just reasonable expectations on these guys this next season. You look at Jalen Hurts, and I love Jalen Hurts in a 4-point passing touchdown format because his lines on Underdog, 10.5 rushing touchdowns, 725.5 rushing yards, but he's only at 23.5 passing touchdowns. And if we compare this to Patrick Mahomes is at 37.5 passing touchdowns. So transitioning from that 4-point passing touchdown format to a 6-point per passing passing touchdown format will skew things where I would prefer Patrick Mahomes in a vacuum. But if you're going to get that discount on Jalen Hurts at the 9-10, I'm completely fine with you going Jalen Hurts because he's pretty much just free at that price. Now, we're going to go ahead and take Dawson Knox, 177. I mean, with Dawson Knox, you have Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid most likely is going to be the starting tight end this next season. But nonetheless, Knox still has upside, right? He still does. So let me show this team off. Knox is our first tight end. We just need some random spike weeks in touchdowns. And we know that, historically speaking, rookie tight ends don't really produce. I like this team. I don't necessarily think we made a lot of mistakes with this team. I think maybe the draft board could have fallen our way a little bit better, but it is what it is. If we get some strong tight end values that I really like, 186, 199, I'll be more happy about this team. Okay, Kenneth Gainwell goes. Hyatt 179. I mean, I would really like Juwan Johnson. We have one tight end. I've already made a bet on that New Orleans Saints passing offense by taking Chris Olave. Okay. Brett coming out says, thoughts on our Hound Dog draft. Kind of new. Burrow, Aaron Jones, Dameon Pierce, Chase. Oh my gosh. If you got this, if this is an underdog draft, my man, this is nutso. You got Chase and Waddle on the same team. Ridley, Jamison, Pitts. So we went Chase round 1, Waddle round 2, Ridley round 3, Burrow round 4, Aaron Jones round 5, Pierce round 6, Pitts round 7, or vice versa. I love that team. Love that team, my man. I don't know if I've had Jalen Waddle fall to us once after drafting Jamar Chase this offseason. Gesicki goes 184, so we may actually get Juwan Johnson to pair up with Chris Olave here and make that one consolidated bet on the New Orleans Saints passing offense. Okay. Now let's see. Howdy Body Scotty says, yeah, I've been leaning Hurts at 9. In my mocks, running back / wide receiver value kind of drops off a cliff at the 5. You still get some potential guys like Judy, London, Ridley, just to name some. Yeah, I mean, it would be a lot easier if it was a 4-point passing touchdown format, but I mean, I still really like Jalen Hurts. They're supposed to have the best offensive line in the NFL this year again. Now, Christian coming out says, redraft full PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex. I'm taking Tyreek Hill at pick 4. If you could then have 2 of Olave, Mahomes, or Ridley, which 2 would you choose? Oh, I'm definitely going Olave and Mahomes there. I mean, Ridley has a lot of upside, but I don't believe that they're in the same tier with Olave and Mahomes, personally for me. That's just my personal opinion. Now, we're going to go ahead and take Juwan Johnson, and I'm going to take one more tight end, and then our last pick. I think we have some flexibility, but I want to go ahead and hop into another underdog draft real quick as we wait for that Mastiff draft to fill. So if you're just now coming in, I am currently in the Mastiff draft lobby. That's the $1,000 buy-in, but we are going to wait for that to fill, and as we wait for that to fill, we are going to get in another $75 buy-in Pitbull. Now, if you are brand new to Underdog, do not go ahead and enter in a $1,000 draft. That would be the dumbest thing you could possibly do unless your name is Bill Gates. If you're Bill Gates, then do whatever the hell you want. I would say don't even enter in a $75 draft. Don't even enter in Best Ball Mania right away if you're brand new to Underdog. That's the $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. If you're brand new to Underdog, you want to be going to the slow puppy. You want to be practicing with some of these $5 drafts or going down to the $3 drafts down here. But I'm not brand new to Underdog, as I'm sure many of y'all know. So we are going to instead get in the $75 one. But unless your name is Bill Gates, whatever you do not immediately go and hop into some crazy high stakes draft. Prod out here with us at pick 5. You love to see it. You love to see it. Who's your daddy out there at 10 as well? Danny DeVito in here at 12. Let me know if you're in this draft. The conceit out here, long time. Remember the flag. Let me know where you're picking from, my man. Oh, no, you're in there at 3. You're in there at 3. Love to see it. Papa Broadhog is Devon. Oh, I'm confused. Pokemon says, I'm a big baller, though. I got you, my man. I got you. Briner out here, pick 7. Yes, Prod is back. Happy to see you, my man. Yeah, we haven't seen you in a bit. I don't know if you heard the other day on the live stream, my man. People were speculating that you were dead. Obviously, all jokes. But let's get this going. Pick 9 will be in play for Bijan. And maybe this is another draft where we start off with Bijan Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. In that other draft, round 17, looks like we are more likely than not going to go ahead and take Hayden Hurst. Okay. Yeah, we just took Hayden Hurst 199 in that other draft. So now our 3 tight ends are Dawson Knox, Juwan Johnson, Hayden Hurst. It's gross, but y'all saw the draft where we won $20,000 last year on Underdog, and that team had like Robert Tonyan and Noah Fant as its tight ends, right? And yes, Bijan. I'll try drafting you. Daniel asking what our Bijan Robinson exposure is. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not going to be as high as you would assume, because earlier this offseason when Bijan Robinson was going 4, 5, and 6, I was never drafting him. I was even taking Stephon Diggs over Bijan Robinson earlier in the offseason. That is until we saw him at the gym. Once I saw him at the gym, I was like, okay, this is a sign. I have to draft him everywhere I can. But I am now at 9% Bijan Robinson, so just slightly above average, which we've come a long way. Like my first 100 drafts on Underdog this offseason, I mean, at least post NFL draft, I don't think I took him a single time. Okay. Now, Cooper Kupp goes here at 6. Interesting to see Stephon Diggs get in the mix up there at 9. I'm sorry, up there at 4. We're at 9, and it looks like we are going to get Austin Eckler here. It's not the most unique pick, right? I mean, it is what it is. I would have preferred Bijan Robinson, but once we go Eckler at 9, ADP 7.5. I mean, we are going to have access to a somewhat unique start where we can just look at whoever's highest according to ADP at pick 16. AJ says, thoughts on the Cedric Tillman hype? I mean, he's on a relatively open depth chart, right? I mean, David Bell's proven to be absolutely nothing. They just took Cedric Tillman in the 3rd round, so it's not like it's a nothing pick. Okay, so that other drafts, round 18, I think we're going to go Tyquan Thornton. I shouldn't have done that. Who should we have taken instead? Everybody was bad. It didn't matter. I'm not going to sit there and cry about who we took in round 18. Now, St. Brown going off the board at 12 to Danny DeVito. Okay. Devontae Adams off 13. So with Nick Chubb, I know everybody's initial reaction to the Jerome Ford injury is going to be, oh my gosh, nobody's there to take the receiving down reps. Now Nick Chubb's even better than he was. Now, by no means am I telling you that Nick Chubb's a bad option in fantasy. I think Nick Chubb's a great option in fantasy. But you should not move up Nick Chubb with the Jerome Ford injury. If everything was static and NFL teams operated as best ball teams and they weren't making any more moves after this, then yeah, sure, you would move Nick Chubb up. But I almost think that the Jerome Ford injury makes it a little more likely that the Cleveland Browns decide to go out there and sign another running back that you actually need to be worried about. But with that being said, hell, we're getting Nick Chubb here at 16, ADP 12.5. There are going to be very, very few teams in this overall tournament that have the combination of Eckler, Nick Chubb out the gate. If you look at where their ADPs line up, I mean, hell, y'all know what I'm trying to do in the first 2 rounds of every single one of these Underdog tournaments. There's a pretty large tournament, right? $75 buy-in, $120,000 first place prize. Is I am trying to have a unique start through the first 2 rounds with upside. I think Eckler, Nick Chubb accomplishes that goal. I think that this is a unique start through the first 2 rounds with upside. Now, Alex says, hey, Mason, my strongest take of the offseason equals Amon-Ra will lead the NFL in receptions. What are your thoughts? As usual, shout out from Manchester. My man, I actually don't mind this at all. I mean, we comped Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jarvis Landry earlier this offseason. And I know a lot of people are going to take that as a slight, but there was a season where Jarvis Landry led the NFL in receptions. Those guys that have an incredibly low average depth of target that can just rack up looks. I mean, he's going to have a crap ton of volume. Now, of course, if you're looking at a yards per target perspective, he's going to be significantly lower than guys like A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, just because where he operates on the football field. But to say that he could lead the NFL in receptions, especially with the cup injury now, I don't think that's anything crazy, my man. I think it's a possibility. Now, Jalen Hurts off the board 25. And of course, if y'all don't know what we're doing, if somehow you've been living under a rock, these are underdog drafts. They're best ball, no time commitment at all during this season. I drafted 700 teams, $150,000 last year. We're doing this every single night. I've done this every single night for 101 nights in a row at this point. And we are not going to miss a day until 2024. And if you want to get into one of these drafts with us in the live stream, you can find the link to Underdog in the live chat description or comment section of this video. And if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get my 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And over there on flockfantasy.com, you can also find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. Underdog is available in pretty much every state. You can see all the states here, and the same place where you have all the player props you see in the videos. My favorite player prop right now being Drake London versus Michael Gallup receiving touchdowns. Now we got that out of the way. Y'all have another 10 minutes before you hear that again. If you're lucky. Now let's smooth this down. Gibbs goes 32. Y'all want to send it? Y'all want to go Andrews 33 and see what this team looks like? This is going to be a freaking wild draft, ladies and gentlemen. Wild draft. Nurse J says, I've been watching your videos for over a year and I somehow just realized I wasn't subscribed. What are you doing, my man? Fix your life. Subscribe to the channel. Fix your life. Okay. Judy going off the board 34. This is going to be a wild draft. If we can stack Lamar with Andrews, this will be nutso. If we stack Lamar with Andrews, I will have to tweet the picture of this out. ETN goes 36 and Lamar goes 37. The two guys I wanted both off the board there at 36, 37. It is what it is. At this point, we have no other option but to take a wide receiver. We go through the first 3 rounds, no wide receivers. And you know what? I'm going to tweet a picture of this out anyway. We need to start tweeting more. Najee Harris off the board. Okay, we'll go ahead and we will take Deebo Samuel. And we'll include him in this. AWOL says, silence is a virtue, Mason, although I don't think Lamar is going to make it back no matter what. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't want to sit here and like try to tell y'all, oh, I really want Deebo Samuel to fall to me in reality when we want Lamar Jackson, because then it's just confusing maybe for people watching the live stream who don't understand what we're doing. So I just want to be full transparent with everything that we say in the stream, right? I mean, our number one objective whenever we do this is to help out the people watching. So I want everybody to know when you go with Mark Andrews in round 3, the hope is Lamar Jackson makes it back around to you in round 4, which everybody pretty much knows to begin with. Okay. Mark Word says, my favorite round 18 picks are Noah Fant, Corey Davis. Corey Davis is a $10 million contract for this year. I think it's going to be more involved than we think. Would be crazy if like Corey Davis just laps Allen Lazard, right? Like Davis is the wide receiver 2 on this team and everybody expects it to be Lazard. Honestly, in a vacuum, I think Corey Davis is probably a better player. And Noah Fant is like in terms of all the round 18, round 17 tight ends, Noah Fant is significantly more talented than like every other tight end that you would look at in that range. It's just, you have Metcalf, you have JSN, you have Lockett, you have the running backs. How much production is there going around? Fields goes 51. Okay. Christian coming out with the donation says, should you approach drafts or redraft leagues any differently than best ball? If so, what should their differences be? Yeah, so in redraft, you're going to be way more willing to just go ahead and take the best value available and kind of ignore your overall roster construction, right? Because in redraft, you can still make trades throughout the year. You can still go to the waiver wire. But in these best ball drafts, when that's no longer an option for you, you really have to take your roster construction serious, and it's almost more important than anything else. Now, with that being said as well, in these best ball drafts, wide receivers at the very end, like wide receivers like Tyler Boyd, Allen Lazard, Jacoby Myers, they make a big difference. If you hit on one of those guys, you should be pretty damn excited. Whereas in your regular redraft league, wide receivers like that make no real difference. I would say also you should expect your regular redraft format running backs to go a little bit earlier and to be a little bit more important than what you have in best ball. Best ball is going to be a wide receiver game. So that's everything I'd say there, my man. But we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Kenneth Walker, pick 57. I just think he is significantly better than every other option here. I think he's significantly better than every other option. So even if we need wide receiver, we'll take whatever wide receiver makes it back around to us at 64. Lockett goes 60. Dameon Pierce goes 61. Great for us to see running backs go, right? I mean, when we have Eckler, Chubb, Kenneth Walker, we're hoping that as many running backs get drafted as possible. At this point, we're going to go Mike Evans or Michael Pittman. We really have no other option. Cam Akers goes 63. So we will go ahead and we will take Mike Evans as our wide receiver 2. And we are going to be living off of prayer, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, wide receiver, we're rolling with Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans. Running backs, we're rolling with Eckler, Chubb, Kenneth Walker. Ooh. Little scary, to say the least. Little scary, to say the least. Okay. Miles Sanders going 65. OG says all week 5 buys don't scare you. No, bye weeks don't matter at all. Almost no matter what format you're playing in, you should not be considering bye weeks when you draft. In best ball, in these drafts here, we are trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17. We are trying to get the highest ceiling that we possibly can, specifically for the fantasy football playoff tournament. And even in your regular redraft leagues, you should not care about bye weeks because with how many waiver wire moves that you're going to be making, by the time you get to like weeks, say week 13, the biggest bye week there is, I mean, hell, your team's going to look wildly different. So yeah, don't be drafting with bye weeks in mind. Jeep Guy says, even if Lance isn't the starter, I bet at least a couple weeks of the season, Lance outscores Purdy and points being used as a gadget play. My man, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. The last thing I want to hear is, yeah, Mason, maybe we whiffed on Trey Lance. Maybe Trey Lance isn't a starting quarterback, but he could be Taysom Hill. We don't want him to be Taysom Hill. Okay, please don't be Taysom Hill. Okay. Pittman off the board, 72. Addison goes 70 here. Okay. Jube guys says Trey Lance is still him. I may or may not have taken Trey Lance in that $1,000 draft, my man. May or may not have got a step too far. Step too far. Bago says bye weeks definitely matter in best ball. Nobody has ever won a best ball tournament thinking about bye weeks. It's never happened. Never happened. Okay. M. Hall went with the running back heavier approach like us. Goes Brandon Cooks, pick 80. So hell yeah, we're going to get George Pickens 81. Honestly, I feel very lucky to get George Pickens at this price point when we're so desperate for a wide receiver. I mean, getting George Pickens as a wide receiver 4 in your fantasy football draft, for us, he's our wide receiver 3 because we're so weak at wide receiver. I'm excited about that. I am. Okay. Now, running back, we have Eckler, Chubb, Walker. Tight end, we have Andrews. Wide receiver, we have Debo, Evans, Pickens. It was very questionable with this team. I didn't know what to think until we got George Pickens 81. Getting Pickens 81, I'm very excited with. Okay. Now, Thomas coming out says, I'm in my first keeper league, full PPR. Each keeper goes up 1 round each year, and there's no limit how long you can keep them. Waddle in the 9th, Olave in the 20th, Walker in the 20th. Thank you. No, thank you so much, my man. I would say the way that we would rank these is I would go Olave top dog, Walker second, and Waddle last. Because, I mean, if it's Waddle in the 20th round, he's essentially free for the rest of his career, right? Even if you were to keep him 6 years from now, he's what, costing you a 14th round pick? So, yeah, in my mind, you kind of have to go in that direction. Now, James Conner off the board, I think we probably go Rachaad White. I mean, we drafted Mike Evans, so we already made a bet that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing offense is a little bit better than people assume, that Baker Mayfield maybe is okay. So it is what it is. The main issue is wide receivers have already gone. Like, right? I mean, what's the real teardrop we have at wide receiver? Is Burks that much worse than the guy that we'll have on the way back around? Probably not, at least in my mind. So we'll go running back, and I'll say, F it. We'll see what wide receivers we get. But Thomas said, thank you so much, my man, for being a member of the flock and hanging out with us in the live stream. Thank you so much. Now, Treylon Burks goes 92. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 likes away from hitting 800 likes on this live stream. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like in the stream. And Anthony says, new to the channel and drafting on Underdog. Would like to thank you for the informative videos. Definitely makes me more confident in the drafts. No, thank you so much, my man, for hanging out with us in the live streams. Hopefully you're able to get in a draft with us soon, my man. Thank you. And a Faux King Turtle coming out with the donation. Thank you. Chicken McSizzle, probably the best name of the live stream here, says, boom bust, first 10 rounds. CMC, Mahomes, Taylor, Mixon, Kirk, Evans, Pittman, Tony, Dalvin, Lazard, Richardson for the Colts and Chiefs stacks. I really like this, my man. It all comes down to the wide receiver value that you could get after round 10. I mean, very similar to the draft that I'm in right now, right? Like, I love my team through the first 9 rounds, just like I really like this team through the first 10. It all comes down to if you could find that wide receiver value at the end. Which I don't know if you did, but if you could have, that would have been awesome, my man. Okay. Now, Tony going off the board 97. We're clearly looking wide receiver if we can get one, right? I mean, our number one priority at this point is wide receiver. Brian Robinson going 98. Still great for us to see all running backs go. Now, I think we could make the argument to only draft 4 running backs with this team. I personally will most likely take a 5th. This is a little bit of a smaller tournament. This isn't a puppy. This isn't a best ball mania. So I think I personally would probably take a 5th RB, but definitely not anytime soon. Okay. Richardson off the board, 99. Now, Henry coming out says 12-team full PPR. Which 2 players should I keep? Jefferson in the 1st, St. Brown in the 6th, and Pollard in the 9th. I think Pollard in the 9th is going to be the no-brainer here. Now, the primary question is, what will the player pool look like in the first round? Right? Because in a keeper league, it's difficult to answer that. We know what a first-round pick looks like in a regular redraft league, but in your keeper league, is it the same thing? Probably not. So if you're looking at a diluted player pool where in round 1, instead of it being someone like Tyreek Hill for you, instead you're going to be looking at, say, Devonta Smith. Would we rather have Devonta Smith and Amon-Ra St. Brown or Justin Jefferson? Probably would rather have Justin Jefferson, right? So we keep Jefferson round 1. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you were, say, looking at maybe that round 1 pick being a little bit better, where you think you would have access to grabbing a player like Tony Pollard if you weren't able to keep him, then you'd probably rather have like Tony Pollard and Amon-Ra St. Brown over Justin Jefferson. So what I would do if I were you in a keeper league is I would figure out what the player pool is going to look like in round 1. Then ask yourself as if it's a trade. Would you rather have that round 1 player and Amon-Ra St. Brown or Justin Jefferson? Now, Faux King Turtle coming out with another donation. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Okay. Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Pat Freiermuth. So I would have really liked having a tight end. I mean, Ingram 105 would have been insane value, but I just felt like we had to go Jameson. And I also thought there was a chance that if we pass on Ingram, that one of David Njoku or Pat Freiermuth would make it back around to us at 112. Clearly didn't happen, but I mean, we had no other option but to go wide receiver here. Allen Lazard goes. We're going to go ahead and similar to what we did in the last round, right? We have no choice but to take a wide receiver. When we go 1 wide receiver through the first 5 rounds, and that guy being Deebo Samuel, we know what we sign up for. We sign up to go a wide receiver, a wide receiver, a wide receiver, wide receiver through the rest of this. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Tyler Boyd here. Hopefully we can catch up at wide receiver eventually. Obviously, with this being best ball in comparison to a traditional redraft format, I mean, we have a little bit of leverage, but Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, George Pickens, Jameson Williams, Tyler Boyd right now at wide receiver. Running back, we have Eckler, Chubb, Walker, Rachaad White. And tight end, we have Mark Andrews. Okay. Let's move this down. Now, Joaquin coming out says, started a hound with Tyreek, JT, Devonta, Najee, and Fields. Oh, that is beautiful, my man. I mean, I've seen that JT's fallen a considerable amount. Some of these underdog drafts, Jonathan Taylor, I mean, I just saw someone tweet at us that they got him at pick 40. I could pick 40. And if that's the case, like, I'm going to continue to draft the hell out of Jonathan Taylor. Now, let's move this over. Cousins going off the board 121 to pair up with Jefferson. Max Xavier says, what quarterback you're going to take? Looks like we're going to take 3 QBs. I kind of want to take Baker to pair up with Rachaad White as well as Mike Evans. Goff's definitely in play when we have Jameson Williams. Kenny Pickett's in play when we took Pickens. And we'll figure it out. Okay. Elijah Mitchell goes, we like seeing running backs get drafted. I mean, personally, it's the main thing that I'm looking for. Good. Jamal goes. So the last running back in this tier is going to be Jaylen Warren. I have an idea of what we could do here. Never mind. Chad takes him. I was looking at possibly going Greg Dulcich and then on the way back around Russell Wilson. Rasheed Rice goes 127. M. Hall can't take quarterback. They go Zay Jones. So we're actually going to mix things up. I guess we're going to pair Geno Smith with Kenneth Walker. Now, Kenneth Walker's not a great pass catcher. I actually think Zach Charbonnet is the passing down running back. So in general, these guys don't correlate that well to each other. But with Geno Smith, I think he is by far and away the best value you're going to look at 129 based off the situation that he's in. So maybe there's a game where Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker go off together. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. Now Rodgers goes 131. Now the question is, if we get Goff on the way back around to 136, are we done taking quarterback? No, Danny takes Goff to go Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm sorry, to pair with the Amon-Ra St. Brown. The pick we make here is probably going to surprise people. Okay. Beard, what are they doing? Darnell Mooney, 134. Russ goes. So if you look at the wide receivers in this range, you get to make an argument to go Rondale Moore, to look at Kyler later on. I just kind of want to lock in only having to draft 2 tight ends. I think Dalton Schultz outscores the wide receivers in this range. So I'm going to take the tight end who I think scores more points than the wide receivers here. We're going to go Dalton Schultz, 136. And then this will open up another roster spot for us to go a wide receiver later. But Sean coming out says, Mason, dynasty startup questions. It's a 12-team super flex, 6-point passing touchdown. What quarterback would you be comfortable taking round 1? And where do Jefferson and Bijan fit in? So if it's going to be a 12-team super flex, 6-point passing touchdown dynasty league, the first 6 picks should be in whatever order of Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Hurts, Herbert, and Lawrence. After that, I think you slide in Justin Jefferson at 7, Jamar Chase at 8, and 99% of people would tell you to go Lamar Jackson, would tell you to go Justin Fields, blah, blah, blah. I honestly don't mind taking Bijan Robinson at 9. I think Bijan Robinson's a late round 1 pick, even in that format. Now, Jacob says, might be a dumb question, but what is the benefit of stacking wide receivers on the same team, like Chase and Higgins, for example? So when you take, say, let's do 2 lesser examples. Let's take, say, Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. You stack Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers on the same team. You're making one consolidated bet that the Baltimore Ravens passing offense is better than people expect this next season. There's historical data that proves that that is something you want to be doing. We made a video saying only idiots don't use this draft strategy, and that was an entire video about stacking. And also, if you look at the video we put out on Saturday, which was me reacting to the team we won $20,000 with this past year on Underdog, there we ended up taking A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith on the same team, even without Jalen Hurts, and we ended up winning $20,000. Okay. Now, Jonathan Mingo, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, 145, 146. So let's move this down. Oh, Komet makes it us 153. Don't know how I feel about our decision to go ahead and take Schultz where we did. Carr off the board. Benoit Pierce not taking the tight end. They go Singletary. What's M. Hall doing here? What are you doing, my friend? They go Chark. We're going to go KJ Osborne. I mean, we still need wide receiver. Obviously, we also had a report coming out today saying that it looks like KJ Osborne is the wide receiver 2 over Jordan Addison for the time being in Minnesota. Now, obviously, I'm still drafting Jordan Addison over KJ Osborne. By no means do I think that KJ Osborne will still be the wide receiver 2 by the time we get to the end of the season. But nonetheless, I mean, we saw KJ Osborne have some pretty big spike weeks. Last year, one of my teams got 16th place in Best Ball Mania, and we won $10,000 with that team. And that team used a couple pretty big spike weeks from KJ Osborne in the fantasy football playoff tournament. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and we will take him here. And Prod, ask him what we think of his team. I will get to that in just 1 second, my man. Just 1 second. Let's move this back around. We can go with the 5th RB, even if we are not too excited about it. It just kind of depends on where the value falls. Kyler Murray goes off the board 158. You assume that Who's Your Daddy here has to take a wide receiver as they only have A.J. Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson. Let's see what they're doing. They go Donovan Peoples-Jones, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Roschon Johnson. I mean, Roschon's been performing well at Chicago's training camp, and, you know, if I'm not able to get one Texas Longhorn in Bijan Robinson, we're going to have to go with the other guy. We need at least one of these guys on every team. Let's go ahead and let's check out Prod's team there at 5. He gets CMC, making it to him at 5. Follows it up with Olave, Ridley, Keenan. Personally, I am not too excited to go Calvin Ridley 29. People that are a lot smarter than I am do, though, and at the same time, I mean, you kind of need a wide receiver. Now, Keenan Allen 44, I mean, very rarely is he ever going to fall there, right? Very rarely. Herbert 53 to pair up with Allen, I really love. Kittle, love that pick at 68. Lawrence, pair up with Ridley at a value, love that as well. Burks 92, incredible value. I really like this team, my man. I would swap teams with you in a heartbeat. I would swap teams with you in a heartbeat. Now, after we go Roschon Johnson, we have Jaden Reed and Raheem Mostert both off the board, 161, 162. Okay. Now, at this point, we are not drafting a single running back. It does not matter if our favorite running back on the planet makes it to us in round 18. We can't take another. Can't take another one. Now, Detroit Fitness Nerd says, your thoughts on the Chicago backfield running backs for late rounds? So, I mean, with Chicago, I think that there's a lot of inherent uncertainty. And I think that you are fine taking a shot on any of these running backs. If I had to put the probability of these guys being the starting running back by the time we got to week 10, I would say there's probably like a 50% chance it's Khalil Herbert. I would say there's probably like a 30% chance it's Roschon Johnson and a 20% chance it's Deontay Foreman. I think all running backs are in play to possibly be the starter in Chicago. Khalil Herbert would be my favorite to be that guy, but I don't mind mixing in the other players as well because more times than not, I mean, your round 14 fantasy football pick is going to be garbage anyway. Okay. Tight end eligible Trey Lance says some interesting developments are taking place in San Francisco. Dear God, dear God. Okay, let's move this back around. We want tight ends and running backs getting drafted. That's what we selfishly want. Okay. Jerome Ford off the board. Gus Edwards, grade for us. I mean, this is perfect. That team goes Justin Ross. This team already has Tua and Dak, so we're going to get Kenny Pickett here to pair up with Pickens. Perfect situation for us. Goes John Mechie. So, yeah, we're going to get Kenny Pickett. We're going to pair him up with George Pickens. We're going to make that one consolidated bet that the Pittsburgh Steelers passing offense is better than people will assume this next season. And we will get in another draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, don't go anywhere. We are going to get into another one. And now running back, we have Eckler, Chubb, Walker, Rashad White. Wide receiver, we have Debo, Mike Evans, George Pickens, Jameson Williams, Tyler Boyd, KJ Osborne. Tight end, we have Andrews and Schultz. Quarterback, we have Geno and Pickett. Okay. Now, Fournette off the board, 181. Oh, we have Roshan at running back as well. Forgot about that. So we're going to go one more quarterback and two more wide receivers in this draft. Tyquan Thornton off the board, 182. Who's your daddy on the clock? They go Mike Gesicki. I'm going to go ahead and take Curtis Samuel here. Don't know if there's any report on why Curtis Samuel's falling this much, but last week he gave some usable spike weeks. Last season he gave some usable spike weeks. And at the same time, this could set ourselves up for Sam Howell a little later on if we really wanted to. Most likely going to go Baker Mayfield round 18, though. But this is the team, ladies and gentlemen. And we are going to take one more quarterback, one more wide receiver. I'll let y'all know who that ends up being, but let's go ahead and let's get into another draft. We are going to get in another Pitbull draft, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, this year, if you are new to Underdog, don't be hopping in Pitbull drafts. Get in the slow $5 puppies. Be a little responsible, but this ain't my first rodeo. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to get in the $75 buy-in, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know if we have too many more entries into the $75 league. You can only have 10 entrants into the $75 tournament, and then you max out. So I think we're probably going to be back to drafting Best Ball Mania teams relatively soon, which is the $25 buy-in. And we're pick 9 again. I feel like we've had a lot of pick 9 lately. Hopefully this time we actually come away with Bijan Robinson. But we are back up on the clock in that other league. Actually, no, we are not. That was just the notification for this draft starting. But yeah, of course, if y'all are just not coming in, we draft literally every single day. I mean, I have not missed a day of drafting in over 100 on this live stream. And if you want to draft with us on the stream, which we're doing every day, you can with the link in the live chat description comment section. It says Underdog Fantasy Best Ball. It's no time commitment at all during the year. If you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. Underdog is available in all of these states, and this is the same place where you have all the player props y'all are used to seeing. My favorite player prop right now is Drake London versus Michael Gallup with receiving touchdowns. But Jackson coming out says, would you trade Cooper Kupp for Alvin Kamara and Christian Watson in an 8-team Superflex PPR format? Hell to the no. In an 8-team league, my friend, the only thing you care about is studs. Please do not be trading down from a stud to 2 lesser pieces. Do not do that. Okay. Let's move this over. Jefferson Chase off the board 1 and 2. No surprise there. Okay, Bryce Young falling a considerable amount. Did we take any Panthers? No, we did not draft any Panthers in that last draft. Can everybody spam the chat? This is for the other draft that we are in. Would you rather have Sam Howell to pair up with Curtis Samuel or Baker Mayfield to pair up with Mike Evans and Rashad White? So Sam Howell or Baker Mayfield. Please spam the chat. Now, CMC 3, Tyreek Kupp 4 and 5. Okay, Sam, Baker, Baker. Looks like most people are saying Baker, so who do we go with here? We'll go Claypool and then Baker. Bijan goes 6, so we're not able to get him. Is this another Eckler draft? Chubb goes. Ooh. Everybody spam the chat. Would you rather have Austin Eckler or Stephon Diggs? Austin Eckler or Stephon Diggs. I'm kind of leaning Diggs. Let me know if y'all want something else. Okay, Diggs, Eckler, Diggs, Eckler, Diggs. It looks like most people are saying Diggs. It's kind of split 50-50. But yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll take Stephon Diggs there at pick 9. Was not going to go A.J. Brown. I'm sorry about that, my man. Not going A.J. Brown there. Okay. Austin Eckler off the board at 10. Okay. I feel like I have not taken Stephon Diggs in a while. I mean, this used to be a player I drafted all the time. You have Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown going. A.J. Brown's been falling in these drafts as of late. Kind of crazy to see A.J. Brown make it all the way down to 14. Devontae Adams goes 15. It's not a very unique start, but I definitely love, I mean, in comparison to all these other guys, Saquon Barkley is by far and away the best option for me. So, not going to overthink this. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley. But we'll see. And yes, I'm sorry we're not going Waddle. Y'all know last year I was drafting the hell out of Jalen Waddle, but you weren't having to take him over Saquon Barkley last year. Okay. Smith goes 20. And I don't know why A.J. Brown has been falling, guys. I mean, if y'all remember, A.J. Brown used to go over Stephon Diggs in every single one of these. How many drafts do I have A.J. Brown in? Let me see this. I'm sorry, A.J. Brown didn't go over Diggs. He went over Lamb. I apologize for misspeaking. I have Lamb 10%. I actually have a decent amount of A.J. Brown. I'm 9% Brown. I think it's just because I'm underweight Austin Eckler. I only have 4% Austin Eckler. Now, Ridley Higgins off the board, 24-25. Definitely a unique start there. Okay. Let's see this. Jalen Hurts goes 27. If Josh Allen were to make it to us with the Stephon Diggs team, obviously that'd be phenomenal. But, I mean, highly unlikely it does not happen. Highly unlikely it does not. Andrews 29, so it looks like we're not taking Andrews in this draft. Metcalf 30. Allen 31. Well, that sucks for us, right? But it is what it is. It is what it is. I have plan A, plan B. Plan B actually goes. Plan B was Lamar Jackson. Plan A was Josh Jacobs. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to stick with the script. We're going to go Josh Jacobs 33. Deebo Samuel immediately goes 34. And yeah, with Jacobs, obviously, there's a lot of downside, but at the same time, there's a lot of upside. And we're just going upside in these drafts. It's a $75 buy and $120,000 first place prize. But Lee says 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, tied in a flex in a 10-team league. Passing are 5 touchdowns, rushing 6. Who should I target if I'm first or last? I don't know my pick yet. Generally, in this type of format, wide receivers are going to be highly devalued. If it is a 10-team league where at the very most you can only start 3 wide receivers, I'm going to be pushing up the elite tight ends, and I'm going to be pushing up the running backs as well, my friend. So yeah, I'm going to be significantly less likely to go heavy wide receiver with that kind of format. Now, Christian Watson goes a 37. I have plan A, B, and C, so we're good no matter what. Jerry Jeudy goes. That was plan A. Let's see what else happens. Goober on the clock. Went Eckler, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel through the first 3 rounds. They go Najee Harris. Can everybody spam the chat? Do you want Keenan Allen or Travis Etienne? We started off with Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Stephon Diggs. Who do you want here? Looks like most people are saying Etienne. We're definitely getting some Allen mixed in, but from what I can tell, looks like the majority is Travis Etienne. So we'll go ahead. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Never mind. It looks like it was Allen. It looks like we went ahead and took Keenan Allen. I recalculated the live chat. Looks like we had more Keenan Allens than Travis Etienne, so that's what happened. Yeah, I just misspoke. It looked like we had more Keenan Allens in the live chat than Travis Etienne. We approximately had 432 messages for Keenan Allen and 431 messages for Travis Etienne. Okay. Etienne goes immediately after 41. Okay. A little bit of a run on wide receiver here. Now at this point, it would be really nice if we could have Herbert making it to us, right? Like that's kind of the ideal. McLaurin goes 46. Fields goes 47. Interesting to see the Justin Fields pick whenever that team had Jamar Chase there at pick 2. Giving Joe Burrow to the team with Higgins at 25. I'm not going to say what's right and wrong. I'm just saying it's interesting to see that. Okay. Okay. Joe Mixon goes 52. Okay. Traysom Hill says, I'm a running tight end back. Ooh. As long as you're going to score me fantasy points, my man, that's all I ask for. And it looks like we may actually get Justin Herbert making it to us here with Keenan Allen. If Herbert does make it to us with Keenan Allen, I'm very happy that we ended up getting him instead of Travis Etienne. Cito says it'd be a lot easier for you to post a poll in the chat for us to vote on. My friend, we have 30 seconds to decide. For me to go through and type a poll in the live chat, for it to get to y'all, the logistics behind that, and for y'all to vote on it, YouTube to recognize those votes and give me the results of those votes, takes longer than 30 seconds. It's a lot easier for me to say out loud, who do y'all want, and me try to read the chat that way. Now, Game Shot says we have Watson, Taylor, Walker, Cup, Amon-Ra, Andrews, Judy, Christian Watson. It's a 10-team, one quarterback. Okay, so shallow format in general. I really like the team. It's all going to come down to what we get with JT, right? If JT's in a good spot, if JT scores points this next year, we are very happy. If Jonathan Taylor's in a crappy spot, if Jonathan Taylor doesn't play, then you are screwed. So everything hinges on JT, but I think it has upside, and that's what we're looking for. Okay. Let's move this over. JSN off the board at pick 60. Akers goes 61. Robert says something you could have is a permanent poll ready that says option 1 and option 2, and just say out loud what the option is. Same time, my man. So we're going to have one poll live stream, and I'm going to choose to use it at that point. I don't know. I think it's just easier for me to say, oh, let me know in the live chat what y'all want. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take George Kittle here at 64. I mean, with Kittle, definitely give us access to some pretty big spike weeks at the tight end position. Also gives us the ability to only take 2 if we end up getting another guy that we like a little later on. So super balanced team so far through the first 6 rounds at this point, right? I mean, we have Diggs, Barkley, Jacobs, Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, George Kittle, all through the first 6. Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Evans going off the board 68. I do think in general, round 6, and I would say through the middle part of round 7. Round 7 is the last round where there are good wide receivers, at least on Underdog. In your regular redraft format, like on ESPN, you'll be able to find strong wide receiver options in rounds 8 and 9 as well. But specifically on Underdog, you're not going to be able to find wide receivers past round 7, which it does put you in a tough spot. But we just hit 1,000 likes on this live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping a like in the stream. I really appreciate it. And I don't know if Jeep Guy's still out here, but his guy, Darren Waller, has been going earlier and earlier and earlier in these drafts. Darren Waller now consistently going ahead of Dallas Goedert, has an ADP of ahead of Goddard. Earlier in the offseason, Dallas Goedert went 2 rounds before Darren Waller, and I was drafting Dallas Goedert 2 rounds before Waller, which obviously I wish I mixed in a little more Waller, a little less Goddard at this point with these new prices, but it is what it is. Dallas Goedert finally off the board 75. Was that to the Jalen Hurts team? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Sure. Coming out with the donation, thank you. And Misa says, just join Mason. Reminder to post the amount of the buy-in in the corner. It is in the corner, my friend. Already there. Already there. J Guy says, that's because Waller is the go. Yeah, I mean, Waller is, I guess, crushing training camp, and people are, eating it up with what we have right now. Okay. Dotson and Quentin Johnston, really the last wide receivers in this tier. You have 4 running backs here with Swift, Connor, Javonte, Rashad White. Dotson going 78. James Cook goes 79. So we are going to get Swift or Quentin Johnston. Obviously, the hope was Quentin Johnston, considering the fact that we had Justin Herbert, so we could have set up a Quentin Johnston, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen double stack. But I guess we will go ahead. We will take DeAndre Swift here at 81. Best offensive line in the NFL. Best rushing offense in the NFL. Don't think Swift fits too nicely with Jalen Hurts, considering the check down rate we've historically seen with Hurts. But nonetheless, I think in best ball at this price, it's fine. Okay. Now Watson goes 82. Evan Ingram, 83. Interesting to see Evan Ingram go there. A team didn't take Lawrence, did they? No, they did. They took Lawrence. James Conner goes. Rachaad White. I don't know the last time I saw Rachaad White and James Conner get drafted ahead of Javonte Williams. It's a little weird. Javonte, 86. And Kamara go. So we'll take Brandon Cooks. We'll set ourselves up with the ability to go with Dak Prescott in the next round if we really want. In reality, we just need a wide receiver, right? If you want to make the argument for Treylon Burks over Brandon Cooks, sure, you do you. You can make that argument. I don't think there's a big difference between these two guys one way or another. We'll take the ADP value with Cooks. Seems like he's been falling more and more as of late. I did not draft him a ton earlier this offseason. Let me see how many teams that we took Brandon Cooks with. I have Cooks in 7% of these drafts, and we've taken him a couple different times today, so I guess we're just slightly underweight with Brandon Cooks. Okay, Pacheco finally off the board, 91. Duke says the Giants are going to be so bad this year. Last I saw, Vegas Sportsbooks had like the Giants at 6.5 wins or something crazy. Let me look this up. They have them at 7.5 wins. And most sports books are minus 120 on 7.5 wins for the New York Giants. It's a team that won a playoff game last year. The other teams at 7.5 wins include the Bears, who got dead last in the NFL last season, the Panthers, the Packers, the Titans, and the Patriots. Interesting. Okay, now Dylan goes. Let's move this over. Rashad Bateman off the board, 99. Richardson, 101. Let's see. The Lamb team took Lawrence. I wonder if they go Dak. No, we don't even get the option to take Dak. This team here takes Dak Prescott. No Dallas Cowboy. Very interesting to see them go Dak there. JMF on the clock. So you have Tony Dalvin and Michael Thomas all falling considerably past ADP at this point. Tony goes 103. David Njoku off the board. So we're going to take Dalvin Cook, and I'm going to say, well, you know what, guys? I mean, I have no idea where Dalvin Cook's going to be this next season. 100%, it's a selection. That has a lot of uncertainty. That has a lot of downside. But this is a $75 buy-in. $120,000 first place prize. I'm going to be shooting for the highest ceiling possible. And I think if we're looking at the guys in this range, Dalvin Cook has the highest ceiling possible. So we're going to pull the trigger. I don't know where he's going, but if he signs with Miami, he jumps 5 rounds. Almost minimum 5 rounds at that point. Zach Charbonnet off the board, 109. What's interesting is we're about to get to the point where if we don't take another quarterback or tight end, we're going to be in the area where we may get stuck wanting to take 3. Whether we should or not, knowing myself, I may want to take one. So do we reach on a QB here? Dino Smith goes 110. I think we are going to reach on a quarterback. I think we're going to take Daniel Jones. I know a lot of people in the chat were talking down on Daniel Jones, saying they don't like him. They don't like blah, blah, blah. Well, if we look at the player props on Underdog Fantasy, this is the main thing I'm looking at here. Daniel Jones is at 575.5 rushing yards for the season. That's the projection. And I have not noticed this with Underdog. Did they just put this out? Look, they have 1.5 more than less than 300 passing yard games. So if you think Daniel Jones is more than 1.5 300 passing yards games, you can go ahead and take that more than. This is crazy. I've never seen this before. They have Jalen Hurts at 3.5 300 or more passing yard games. Deshaun Watson at 3. Geno Smith 3.5. It's really interesting. What do they have Mahomes? They have Mahomes at 7.5. Lamar at 1.5 for 100+ rushing yard games. Have y'all seen that? Is that brand new on Underdog? Have y'all ever seen any other player prop site doing that? Maybe that's something that happened. I mean, people do more often. I've never seen that before. But Lightning coming out says, what's up, Mason? Can you rate my Pitbull squad from the 101? We took Jefferson, JT, Jacobs. That's going to be definitely a unique start. Not too many people are going to go Jacobs 301 there to pair up with Jefferson, which I like. I don't think you're sacrificing upside, and I think it's unique. Fields, Hawkinson, Addison, Gabe Davis, Dalvin, Sutton, Cousins, Dobbs, Thielen, Kmet, Jaden Reed, Curtis Samuel, Chia Hubbard, McCall Hardman, Cordell Patterson. Thanks, man. No, thank you. I mean, generally, I don't love going this heavy into one offense. I'm going with Jefferson, Hawkinson, Addison, Cousins, like 4 guys through the first 8 rounds or whatever it may be. I think if you are going to do it, it makes a lot of sense to do it in a Pitbull. That's a little bit of a smaller tournament in comparison to like Best Ball Mania, though. So I actually do like it. I do like it then. Now, Lego Batman says, looking forward to another great season. Appreciate you. And thank you so much for everything. If y'all don't know, Lego Batman is a long time member of the vlog. Super happy to see you out here, my man. Now, we are not going to be taking another quarterback here. We're going to be going running back, wide receiver, tight ends. Okay. Now, the question is, who are we looking at these positions, right? Myers goes 127. So we're going to take Allen Lazard. I mean, with Lazard, I don't love him, but he falls 13 picks past ADP. We desperately need a wide receiver. We only have 3. Yeah, it makes sense to take him. And of course, if y'all wanted to go check out any of those player props on Underdog, this is the same place where we are getting in drafts every single day. This is where Underdog is available in. And if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, where you can also find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. Now, Rashee Rice off the board 130. I'm assuming we get an Aaron Rodgers selection soon from the Garrett Wilson team. Monkfish is the team that took Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You may see them go both Aaron Rodgers as well as Jared Goff here at 132, 133. Russ goes 131. Yeah, and then they go Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. That's great for us when we are already done a quarterback with Herbert, Daniel Jones. Hola Brown, another long time. Remember the flock out here. Happy to see you. Happy to see you. Okay. This team had 3 quarterbacks. They took Lawrence, Geno, and they decided to go ahead and take Russell Wilson. They have 3 quarterbacks and 3 running backs. I mean, good for us when we're committed to not taking any more QBs, right? Schultz 134. Tank Bigsby going. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Darnell Mooney. We'll just get another wide receiver here that could possibly provide us with some spike weeks, right? And we need another wide receiver. It is what it is. So now wide receiver, we're sitting with Diggs, Keenan, Brandon Cooks, Allen Lazard, Darnell Mooney. Running back, we have Barkley, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Dalvin Cook. Quarterback, we have Justin Herbert stacked with Keenan Allen. We have Daniel Jones stacked with Saquon Barkley and most likely a New York Giants wide receiver at the very end of this. And we also have George Kittle at tight end. So super balanced team. I really like our team. I really do. Okay. Fun Guy Chunk says, Mason, by what date in August should we do our draft for our redraft leagues? If you're only going to be in one league this year, I would say I would probably look to do that draft. I think the season starts like September 14th or something along those lines. Week 3 of the preseason's always a pretty good time to fire up your draft. Adrian says, Mason, I rock my flock shirt to the gym all the time. We need more merch. Rock out with your flock out, my man. Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully the ladies at least give you some space, some peace and quiet when you're out there at the gym with your flock shirt. I know personally I had to stop wearing my flock shirt just because my workout, instead of lifting weights, it just turned into me having to do cardio and run nonstop because it would like turn into a riot with the ladies chasing me. So hopefully it's not the same for you, my man. Hopefully you have a little more peace with it. And I will try to get I'll try to get like a flock merch drop. I know we have a bunch of flock hats still left over. I know we have some of those flock shirts left over as well. I'll try to get it set up where we can have like one drop where it's only like 1 or 2 days for me to go through and ship everything. Because the issue primarily is with me shipping merch, just it takes so much time. So much time. Okay. Yes, I don't know if you know this about me, but I can ship things. I'm a grown ass man, my man. I know how to use a printer. I know how to go on to the United States Postal Service. I can do a little bit of everything. Mostert off the board 151. Tyler Higbee goes 152. Let's go ahead. Let's take Gerald Everett to pair up with Justin Herbert. Now we're going to get that double stack with Herbert, Keenan, as well as Everett. And I'm not going to mind taking a third tight end as well, just because we only have to take 2 quarterbacks. I think a lot of tight ends at the very end of fantasy football drafts can end up outscoring the wide receivers if you're looking at what you have this year. So I know most people are going to be done drafting 2 tight ends, and I'd say last year it's probably what you wanted to do, but this year it's just a little bit different. GBD12 says, hey, Mason, I have 20 Best Ball Mania drafts left. Any advice on how to tackle those, and should I wait until closer to the season to finish it? I would say in general, do what's going to be fun for you, my man. So I am never one to just say I'm going to do all my drafts at this specific time. Obviously, I do a crap ton of drafts. Now, I'm sponsored by Underdog. I can pretty much do as many drafts as I want. So what I personally do is just what's most fun for me. And generally what's most fun for me is spacing out my drafts a bit. Or maybe you want to wait until like 20 days away from NFL kickoff and then do one draft every day leading up. If you have the time, of course, and if that's what you want to do. But we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Devin Singletary, pick 160. What I like about Singletary is you know what his backfield is. It is Dameon Pierce, Devin Singletary, and that is it. Now, with that being said, you also don't have to worry about Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor going over to the Houston Texans. It's a team that's not going to compete. It's a team that's not bringing in veteran running backs that at least there's no reason for them to. So I think you can get a couple of usable weeks from Devin Singletary throughout the season. And obviously you have some upside as well if Dameon Pierce were to go down. But Ben says 8-hour puppy, Diggs, Waddle, Higgins on the clock with Harris and Mixon next in ADP. Who do you like more? Love your stuff. Hardest working guy on YouTube. Thank you so much, my man. So we have Diggs, Waddle, Higgins. How the hell did you get Higgins there in the third? How the hell did you do that? I think I am going to go Najee Harris over Joe Mixon just because I think the amount of teams that are going to have Najee Harris and T. Higgins paired together are going to be slim to none. Also, if you go Joe Mixon, how about this? If the Jamar Chase team took an elite level quarterback and you think there's a chance you get Joe Burrow on the way back around, I would go Joe Mixon and set up the T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow double stack. If that Jamar Chase team looks like they're most likely to take Joe Burrow, in that case, I would most likely go Najee Harris. Okay. But after we take Devin Singletary, we're really hoping that a bunch of running backs get drafted, right? That's the primary hope, the primary goal for our team at this point, as we are only going to be taking wide receivers through the rest of this draft and throwing in probably one more tight end with this team, right? Now, Tajay Spears. J-Piz says, great content. When I said all in done, how much will you be invested in fantasy this year? So last year I was anywhere from, I don't remember the exact numbers, like 10 to 15,000 last year in buy-ins. This year, it was probably going to be about the same. This year will probably be another 10 to 15,000. I ended up winning 150,000 last year on Underdog, but I'm very realistic with myself, and I fully understand and I fully acknowledge that I got extremely lucky to win that last year on Underdog. I was the luckiest guy on the planet. Everything had to go right for us. We got lucky in 10 different ways, where I'm expecting this next season to most likely, at least in Underdog tournaments, lose money. Probably not going to be the case in like regular dynasty formats, but this next season, I'm probably going to lose money. So the last thing I could do is go, I won 150,000 last year. Let me go through and drop the $150,000 in fantasy football teams. We're going to 10X it again. And then obviously it's not going to work out that way. And then at that point, we may end up just giving 75 of it back. Okay. Sam Howell goes 181. Duke says, especially this year going against Almighty. Exactly. That's the thing. Duke, we had to go up against him all offseason. So I'm like, yeah, the probability that we win money is slim to none. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Paris Campbell. We are just going all in on this New York Giants offense, ladies and gentlemen. We have Daniel Jones. Can I interest you in some Saquon Barkley? Can I interest you in some Jalen Hyatt, in some Paris Campbell? And we're going to be going with another wide receiver in round 17 and most likely a tight end in round 18. So here, wide receiver, we have Diggs, Keenan, Cooks, Lazard, Darnell Mooney, Jalen Hyatt, Paris Campbell. Running back, we have Barkley, Jacobs, Swift, Dalvin, Devin Singletary. Quarterback, we have Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones. Tight end, we have George Kittle, Gerald Everett. And we're going to take one more tight end in round 17, round 18. But we're most likely going to cut the live stream here, ladies and gentlemen, so I can go ahead and walk the dog before it gets too dark. But thank you so much, everybody, hanging out with us today. As always, you know I appreciate you. And as always, you know I'll be live tomorrow, the next day, the day after. I'll be live every single day until 2024. So if you want to get into one of these drafts with us, you can always find that link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, description, comment section. Promo code FLOCK's going to get you 100% a positive match. Also, our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. It's available in all of these states. Best ball, no time commitment at all during the season. Not meant to replace your main fantasy football league, just meant to be some extra fun on the side. But thank you so much, everybody. I really do appreciate y'all, and I really hope I get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.